All right, shall we get started?
Yeah.
Bunch of folks here. Well, greetings, everyone, friends, members. My name is Carly Rixum. I'm the executive director here at the American Solar Energy Society, and it fills me with immense gratitude to connect with you for our membership meeting this year. Just a few months ago, we celebrated our 70th anniversary here at the American Solar Energy Society. And for 7 decades, ASES has been a steadfast beacon for innovation, rigorous education, and impactful advocacy, all propelling our nation and indeed the world towards a future powered entirely by renewable energy. But before we look ahead, let's take a moment to reflect. I invite you to check out our 2024 Impact Report and see firsthand the remarkable difference that we've made together, thanks to your unwavering support and dedication. From groundbreaking research initiatives to transformative educational programs and pivotal policy advancements, your contributions have truly energized our mission and set us on a course towards a brighter, more sustainable future. In honor of our 70th anniversary, a testament to our collective vision and hard work, we are thrilled to invite you to be a founding member of the Circle of the Sun. This is a community of solar champions, individuals just like you who are deeply committed to building a 100% renewable energy future. What does it mean to be a member of the Circle of the Sun? You'll enjoy special recognition in our publication Solar Today, ensuring your commitment is visible to the wider solar community, as well as a complimentary renewal of your ASES membership, providing you with access to invaluable resources, networking opportunities, and a voice in shaping the future of solar energy. And you'll receive a unique commemorative keepsake pin to serve as a lasting reminder of your pivotal role in advancing our shared mission. However, the true benefit lies in knowing that you are a part of a visionary group, ensuring that ASES's leadership and innovation continue to shine brightly for decades to come. Your support directly fuels our ability to advance research, deliver cutting-edge educational programs, and advocate for policies that pave the way for sustainable energy transformation. Joining the Circle of the Sun is an investment in our collective future. You can become a member for $50 a month or $500 a year, a commitment that makes a world of difference. And for those who are ready to take a bold step forward in leaving a lasting legacy, we invite you to become a founding sponsor with a one-time gift of $2,500 or $1,000 for our esteemed life members who have already demonstrated extraordinary commitment. The opportunity to be a founding sponsor of the Sun member, Circle of the Sun member, ends at the end of this year, so don't miss it. Your support is more critical now than ever before. Together, we can ensure that the sun never sets on our shared mission. Across the country, we face new challenges, including the threat of repealing vital federal solar incentives that are essential for keeping energy affordable for families, communities, small businesses, schools, our own hometowns. That's why we must raise our voices and urge our senators to protect clean air rules and smart solar policies like the investment tax credit, which was jeopardized in this morning's House bill. Today, ASES is more focused than ever on empowering individuals, educating communities, and building strategic partnerships to achieve a world equitably and sustainably transformed to 100% renewable energy. Our founders' original vision may have seemed audacious at the time, but their unwavering belief in the power of solar energy paved the way for the progress that we celebrate today. Our vision remains bold, ambitious, and transformative, and together we are making history. Your professional expertise, personal commitment, and financial contributions set the pace for ASES to achieve our most ambitious goals. Every action, every donation, every voice raised in support of solar energy brings us closer to realizing our shared vision of a clean future for all. So today, I implore you to seize this moment and act on this exclusive invitation. Join the Circle of the Sun and become a vital partner in fueling ASES's next 70 years of working together to build a future worthy of our shared dreams. Before I conclude, one more exciting announcement. We are confirming October 2026 in Austin, Texas for next year's conference. Also, early bird registration for highly anticipated Boulder Conference in August has been extended. So register by June 6th to save 25% and join us in beautiful Boulder, Colorado in August. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for your unwavering passion, your invaluable partnership, your steadfast belief in the transformative power of solar energy. Together, let's keep the circle growing and the momentum building for another 70 years and beyond. Now I'd like to hand it over to our programs director, Ella Nielsen. Ella has built and grown our National Solar Tour, our National Solar Conference, and manages our membership. So without her, none of us would be here today. So thank you so much, and Ella, off to you.
Thanks so much, Carly. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the American Solar Energy Society's 2025 annual membership meeting. We're so glad you could join us today. As mentioned, I'm Ella Nielsen. I am the programs director here at ASES. I've been here full-time 3 years and was a volunteer the year before, so I've been with the ASES community for 4 years now. And it's such a privilege to reflect with you on our accomplishments, celebrate our ASES solar community, and look ahead to what's next. I am so honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Dave Renee. He will be discussing how to stay engaged and be a solar advocate in challenging times. He was a principal scientist at the U.S. National Renewable Energy Laboratory from 1991 to 2012, where he managed the solar resource assessment activities and worked in international programs. He served as president of the International Solar Energy Society, ASES's parent organization, from 2010 to 2012. He formed the consultancy of Dave Renee Renewables, where he had participated in national and international renewable energy programs, including with the International Renewable Energy Agency and the World Bank. He's dedicated to a rapid transformation to 100% renewable energy, just like ASES's vision, to meet all end use energy requirements as the best solution to a climate crisis. We are also honored to have Dave as an ASES Life member, an ASES Circle of the Sun founding member, ASES Fellow, Innovative Research and Development Award in honor of Charles Greeley Abbott Award winner, and he is also on the Solar 2025 National Organizing Committee. Without further ado, I will pass it on to Dave to share his screen and share some slides. But also in the meantime, quick housekeeping, please be sure you're using the chat. And if you have any questions for Dave, put it in the chat and we can try to get to all of that after his presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ella, for your kind introduction and rather long introduction, I should say as well. Let me try to share my screen. This is my first technological challenge of the day here. And please let me know what you are seeing. I don't see anything now. Can you see my slideshow?
Yes.
And do you see it now as a slideshow?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, good. First challenge overcome. Well, speaking of challenges, I was given a somewhat mission impossible assignment given the, especially if you've been following the news feeds of the day today. But first, I want to thank all of you for your great support for ASES and for making a good decision to join this important meeting today. I pleased to see so many friends online here, and what I would hope to do, or what I will try to do in this challenging assignment is to step back a little bit and give maybe somewhat of a more global perspective of what I see going on now in solar energy especially, and in renewables in general, and also the challenges that are facing us certainly globally, but especially here in the US, and what we can do to try to remain engaged. So I will first start off by giving a kind of a big picture overview here. This is information that's just published in the Solar Power Europe um, Global Market Outlook report that shows that solar PV capacity has passed the 2 terawatt level sometime the second half of last year. It took 68 years or so to get to 1 terawatt when from the time when solar first became commercialized, solar PV, and just 2.5 years or so to get to the second terawatt. And I think the prospects there are for this growth to continue. The US is playing a significant role in this global capacity. We have well over 10% of that capacity here. And just as another way of looking at this, just in this past year, almost 600 gigawatts of PV was installed around the world. The vast, where the majority of that is certainly coming from China, as we all know. And the United States is, again, a major player here, adding 41.4 gigawatts of solar in 2024, which is a 33% increase over 2023. And but as you can see from this chart, China is by far and away the lead country, both for manufacturing and for installing solar PV. But markets remain robust in many other countries. Like I said, the US, of course, is one of the key ones. And this is thanks, at least in part, to the IRA markets that helped grow the solar over the last few years significantly. But I should point out here that China's dominance has both upsides. They've helping because they're both a manufacturing and an installing giant. They are keeping the cost of solar quite low, but there are also many downsides of this dominance, especially related to geopolitics. And I think it's important for the industry overall to have more countries competing for the top 10 role, and to have many more robust manufacturing and installing markets at the country level than we do today. And I think in time that will be the case. Here's another way of looking at the relationship of solar with respect to the other major renewables, wind, hydro, and biomass. As you can see, solar is by far and away the largest source of new electrical power around the world. And it's typically the least expensive source of new electrical power globally. But on a global level, here's what I see as our current challenges. And by the way, I have a bit of a cough, so I'm sorry if I have to stop to cough occasionally here. China, as I said, China continues to dominate the solar PV manufacturing and installations, which helps keep the cost low. But the market headwinds are getting stronger around the world. There's resurgent political support for fossils and nuclear, shifting geopolitics, including tariff wars, assurances on clean manufacturing, etc., lack of adequate grid infrastructure improvements, which is holding up installation of more solar in the grid, and recent events such as the Iberian blackout, which many of you probably heard about, took place a couple of weeks ago, where there is a real knee-jerk reaction to blame it on PV, blame the blackout on PV, and we don't know the full facts yet. And I can say almost assuredly it's not totally due to PV in the system, but due to many other factors. But it's going to take months to really get to the bottom of what that happened. But because of these headwinds, it's likely that PV will continue to grow, but most likely at a slower pace. And especially the third point As more and more variable renewable energy are added to the grid flexibility improvements are going to be needed to make sure that these variable sources can be used as firm power commitments by the utilities. So this means additional low-cost storage, improved forecasting, reliable and efficient balancing protocols, and other matters need to be factored into grid infrastructure improvements. One key international event that occurred at the not the most recent conference of the parties, but the one that was held in Dubai in December 2023, is that for the first time, an explicit target for renewable energy capacity was approved by governments all over the world as one of the outcomes of the agreement that took place at that conference. And that was to establish a goal of tripling renewable energy capacity to a level of about 11.2 terawatts by 2030. And in achieving that goal, solar is recognized to be the predominant source. It should provide about 7 terawatts of that total. Wind will supply about 4 terawatts. But to achieve the tripling target will require about a 16% annual growth rate of renewable energy capacity installation. And despite all the successes of the last few years, our current growth rates are still below that level. So the tripling target, which is viewed to be as necessary in order to maintain global warming to below 1.5 degrees centigrade, we're still not going to meet that goal if we don't meet the tripling capacity. So a lot of ambition, a lot of work that still needs to be done. Now, Solar Power Europe also projects through 3 different scenarios what they see happening over the next 5 years, and these range in levels of ambition, with the middle scenario being what they call the most likely scenario. That's the one in light blue. And with other studies similar to this, they see solar capacity growth rates slowing over the next year or so. And this is largely due to delays in grid infrastructure improvements that are holding up solar projects that are already in the pipeline. But they see the possibility of annual capacity additions still increasing to 1 terawatt per year by 2030, a growth rate that is necessary to achieve that tripling target that I mentioned earlier. So now the challenges in the are especially acute here in the U.S., as we all know. Like I said, if you read today's news feed, that confirms our challenges. We have a administration that promotes an America First ideology, which implies, in their minds, the need to upgrade and accelerate our fossil fuel use, domestic fossil fuel prospecting and use. And yet, we still see that the lowest cost source of energy is really solar energy, and it's readily available here in our own country, and that is being sidelined as part of this ideology. So that seems to be a challenge and a conflict that we really are struggling with. The IRA incentives that really helped the growth over the last couple of years could, and I think have so far largely disappeared in the legislation working its way through Congress. And also many state incentives are falling by the wayside based on utility actions. Just for example, the net metering laws in California, NEM 2.0 or 3.0, I think, it has removed a lot of rooftop solar incentives in California. And these are important. Another critical element that's being lost is government-supported R&D. We're losing this when it's most needed. And this is something that we really can't afford to disband. It's our incredible R&D programs going on to advance solar energy and other renewable energy technologies. The fossil companies are expecting special treatment and payback after helping fund the most recent election. And then small modular nuclear power plants and even fusion energy are being touted as more and more as silver bullets to um, handle our future energy needs. And that also is sidelining renewable energy technologies to some extent. And very importantly, for grid connected renewables, grid infrastructure improvements could be stalling over the next few years. The IRA included a lot of grid infrastructure improvements in that bill, and these may now fall by the wayside, and the infrastructure bill as well. But despite all this, the electricity demand is going to grow in this country thanks primarily to electric vehicles. AI data centers are also rapidly driving up electricity demand. The shift to heat pumps is going to further add to that drive. So electricity demand is growing, and yet one of our cheapest sources for that demand is being taken away. So what does this mean in terms of, say, for example, our climate ambitions? Bloomberg just published their new energy outlook 2025. The executive summary is available online. You can purchase the entire report through them. It's one of the number of studies that are being done now to examine how do we look at how do we cap climate warming, global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade, which is what was called for in the Paris Climate Agreement back in 2021, or sorry, 2015. So this this is just one picture of the analysis coming out of Bloomberg. They look at three scenarios. They look at one, no transition at all. That's where no efforts are made whatsoever to limit global or limit carbon emissions. That's a very unlikely scenario because many countries already have programs in place that are reducing those emissions. There's the economic transition scenario, which is the scenario that they focused on this year, which is not necessarily being driven by climate policy, but it's just being driven by market forces and lowest price policies. And that scenario shows that emission reductions are likely to start occurring this year. In other words, 2024 may have been the peak year for carbon emissions, even if we follow that non-climate driven economic technology scenario. And then, of course, if we do want to maintain the 1.5 degrees centigrade warming target, we have to have our total emissions, energy related emissions, drop to zero by the end of by 2050. And that's called the net zero scenario, which they didn't update this year. They have one from an earlier study. But I think the key picture here is that if Bloomberg's ETS scenario is correct, even though emission reductions will decrease by 22% or so between now and 2050, the global warming will still increase to 2.6 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels, which is really sort of an alarming number to look at, because even back in the 10 years ago, the UNFCCC was saying 2 degrees centigrade was the maximum we can tolerate. Now we're trying to keep it to 1.5 degrees centigrade. But in reality, we may go well above the 2 degrees centigrade under current situations. So this is, again, I think the summary, the statement that can come out of this is that the current policies of the current administration are definitely going to delay, but not totally derail our climate ambitions. We'll still see progress being made over the next 20 or 30 years in emissions reductions, energy-related emission reductions, but certainly nothing to the extent that is necessary to maintain our 1.5 degrees centigrade target. So now I want to try to get into what do we do about all this? We hear a lot about the Project 2025 scenario. It's a flood the zone, using a flood the zone metaphor. And that doesn't mean flooding the football field, like you see on the left side here. What it means is it's a strategy to assign several receivers, several of your best receivers in the backfield to go to one part of the football field that hopefully the opposing team, the defensive team, doesn't know which part that is. And then the quarterback just heaves the ball in that zone, and hopefully one of the backs will receive it. And this is um, the way to defend this uh, strategy is to instruct your backs to, your defensive backs to go to a specific zone, hoping that you pick the right one. But there's another defense, and that's blitzing the quarterback. And what I mean here is um, the way to become, and so I'm just using this as a metaphor of can we become good, or how do we remain to be good solar advocates? And that is to launch a smart counteroffensive that addresses the heart of the issues. In other words, instead of trying to figure out which zone the quarterback's going to throw the ball in, try to get inside the quarterback's head and figure out and approach the leader of the offense directly with a good defense. The best defense is a good offense. And this comes down to good, well-informed communications among our peers and communication to the opposition. Robust markets require three essential ingredients: technologies that work, financing that is cheap and available, and policies that enable a level playing field. And ASES over the years has focused on technology successes. So that's one of the key three elements. But they have done this in the context of the importance of financing and an enabling political environment. And what we're facing now, not so much technology challenges, although as I said, R&D is still critically important, but we're facing a political environment that's removing the enabling of our technology to be successful. And this is what, as advocates, we need to be focusing on. So as an ASES member, you can make the most of this membership by engaging with our social media platforms like Solar at Work and Everything Solar Forum, sharing your knowledge through our conferences, webinars, and Solar Today and other mechanisms, and joining an ASES committee and chapter to become more familiar with certain technologies and what's happening in local areas as well. And beyond ASES, reach out with your knowledge and listen to the view of others, even those that oppose your views. Be sure to listen to what they're thinking and share with them your knowledge and your and expertise and case studies, and share this knowledge also with your political representatives, and even join a peaceful protest. I think that's a lot of questions about how effective protests are, but as having lived through the Vietnam War years and the years of what happened there, I just got some red lines. But anyway, and through the civil rights era, protests do work, and they do capture the attention of your decision makers, and they can be effective. So, as I say, the most effective advocacy is to dispel the myths that are often created to advance certain ideologies and to provide real facts based on your personal experiences, case studies, and informed dialogues, which ASES provides through its programs. So thank you for your attention. And again, thank you for joining this meeting and for your membership and support of ASES. And I look forward to meeting all of you in Boulder in August and in future meetings of the society. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dave. Wow, what an incredible and inspiring presentation. We've gotten some comments in the chat, but please feel free to ask any questions for Dave in the chat, and we can try to answer that for you. Got some nice claps and celebration emojis in the chat, so that's great. Yeah, any questions for Dave? All right, John Richter. question for Dave. U.S. electric utilities profits are set in regulation based on their capital investment. Solar on rooftops is not in their financial interest. How do we structure utility regulation to encourage local generation on rooftops, etc.? Oh,
Well, that's a very good question, John. Thank you for that. Um, how do I answer that? I don't think I have a good answer. Obviously, we've established in the past laws like feed-in tariffs, and which were very effective in the early days in Europe and in other countries today. We have net metering laws, which are very important and which are in challenge right now. It's true. Electric utilities do not see rooftop solar as part of their system, and yet they have to manage that system, and they have to understand what's coming in from that system. So there are certainly there are tools out there to be able to provide utilities with information about what rooftop solar is going to do to their system and forecasts to support that. But beyond that, I think it's going to require a partnership with the utilities for them to understand that, and for them to see ways that rooftop solar actually adds flexibility to their system, that they can rely on what's going to happen with rooftop solar and plan for it effectively. And I think those types of tools, such as what Clean Power Research has been developing, are very important in terms of informing utilities of how they can manage rooftop solar, given that it's not a power source that they can directly see in their system. So it's an important communication process, and also communicating to the regulators that there are solutions to these questions that the utilities are raising.
great. Thank you so much. Couple other questions for you, Dave. Elaine Hebert says, what is the world situation for supplies of raw materials for making PV modules and backup storage systems?
Well, the situation is not particularly good for countries like the U.S. because a lot of the critical raw materials are not always in countries where it's easy for us to have access to them. And of course, there's also strong competition for these raw materials, and particularly for battery systems, but also for PV systems. So this is I don't think I'm going to be able to answer the question. The situation is that it's part of the geopolitical uh, landscape that we're facing right now in terms of challenges. And that's probably the strongest challenge is the geopolitics, who's controlling raw materials, who controls the supply chains, who controls the manufacturing and the installation process. But we definitely have to, you know, how do I want to say this? Set up a geopolitical ideology in this country that's make sure that we are protecting our supply chains, and also at the same time not creating tensions elsewhere that can actually work against everybody. I don't think I can carry that discussion much further than beyond those points right now, but it's an important issue to be addressed
Awesome.
by
Thank you.
by our politicians.
Speaking of that, Bruce Hunt asks, how do we organize to change the House of Representatives in 2026 to elect pro-renewable candidates?
Well, I think the best way for ASES is to really identify those viable candidates that might want to run, and keep them informed with what we have learned through our technologies and through our experiences, and make sure that they have the right facts. Because I think unfortunately, a lot of technologically based decisions are being made by people who really have no understanding what the impacts are of those decisions. And in order to really make sure that consequences of these decisions are well understood. They they need well devised and clear communications from organizations like ASES and from its members who have the technological knowledge to make sure that they understand cutting an R&D program has long-term negative impacts on our economy and on our workforce, and that this is what most politicians are trying to do is promote our economic well-being, and which includes a viable and healthy workforce. And they may not fully understand how a program such as the IRA was so effective in creating um, new jobs and new industry, and that by cutting it out, it's going to take a long time. You're going to hurt the economy, and it's going to take a long time to bring that back. So again, critical information uh, tools to convey to a lay audience level of understanding so that the consequences are well understood. And so we just have to find the right candidates early on to make sure that they get these key messages from us.
Thank you so much, Dave. Some more questions for you. Mark Payton asks, well, he says, thank you, Dave, for your informative and inspiring presentation. I like your analogy of a defense against the flood zone strategy. In that vein, I wonder what more we can do to emphasize and activate the American spirit of competitiveness and ingenuity by championing both A, cost competitiveness of solar, and B, as a response to Chinese dominance of solar PV production.
Well, I think thank you for that comment and the question. I think, again, it's more or less what I have been saying is that ACES is an important organization to provide the correct information. And I think one thing ACES, I've been working with ACES for a number of years on its annual solar conferences, and we're really trying to make adjustments to the conference to make it more meaningful to a larger audience, and not just having researchers sharing their results to each other, that's very important. It's a peer review process that has to continue. But I think ACES also has the ability, because of its large mix of talent. You have installers, you have researchers, you have just day-to-day people having interest. You bring all this talent together, and you organize your communications in a way that can attract a much larger audience, including audience of people who may be skeptical of these technologies, but are willing to be open and come and learn about it. I think solar today is a very important tool in that regard. We don't have very many newsletters or newspapers or news magazines like Solar Today in the US. And I think it's critical that we make sure this information is made available in a readable format to large audiences.
Thank you. We'll do about two more questions. One is from John Steele. For Dave, how do we support/promote more effort in grid modernization?
Sorry, could you repeat that, Ella?
How do we support/promote more effort in grid modernization?
Oh, that's a very good point. We've already seen many examples of where grid modernization is not keeping up with, especially some of the climate change impacts that we're already experiencing. I think the IRA made some great strides, and I think even the Infrastructure Act had some great programs built into it. The government's purpose, in my view, is government spending should be seen as an investment to the future of our country. And there's very few places I can think of that are under invested as much as in the national grid. And there's many reasons for it. Of course, there's a lot of NIMBY issues associated with upgrading the grid. Renewables can overcome a lot of that because it's a much more distributed technology. And so maybe you can get by with focusing more on local distribution grids rather than having to put all the efforts in the national grid, because rooftop solar, for example, is a perfect way of distributing our energy supply. So I think that we just have to convince our decision makers that we need investments in our country to protect the viable future of our critical systems like the electricity system, and not uh, think that we're saving the national budget by undoing these investments, because we're not. We're going to pay a bigger cost down the road as if by not making those investments now.
Thank you so much, Dave. I see Roger has his hand up, so that will be the last question. If you'd like to unmute yourself, Roger. Or alternatively, you can ask the question in the chat. I just saw your hand was up.
Ella,
Um,
can't you
Sorry, I
unmute
didn't
him?
ask. I'm sorry, I didn't ask any question. I'm sorry.
oh, no worries. I
I
just saw
didn't
your hand
start.
was up. Okay, then never mind.
Thank you.
All
Uh,
good.
I have one for Dave, Ella.
Yeah, go for it.
I think just the timely thing. Today, what's the best thing that you suggest that people do today to try to save the ITC? Um, the current bill that came out with a last minute amendment yesterday requires, well, only allows projects that actually start construction in the first 60 days after the bill's passage, if that occurs, to get the ITC, which is essentially a full repeal across the board. What do you think we should do?
Well, I think at this point, this is going to go to the Senate now, and it's going to get heavily debated there. So the key people to communicate with now are your senators in your states, regardless of which side they're on. I think they all have to be informed about what a disastrous decision that is. I mean, there's the biggest, and I think it also gets back to we have to take urgent action to work on these grid infrastructure improvements, because one of the problems we're going to face is that there's a lot of projects that right now that are in the pipeline, but they can't get the go ahead because it's not because the utilities just don't have the capacity in the grid to allow them to come in. And of course, those are the ones that are going to get lost completely if that's the case. So inform your senators, and also add to that the urgent need of improving grid infrastructure, and also um, maintaining a favorable environment for rooftop solar. Rooftop solar is going to be a key part of the transformation of the solution in the years to come, and we can't let that fall by the wayside through the lack of reasonable incentives for their solar installers.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Thanks, Ella. Dave, in your long life experience, do you have any words of wisdom about influencing skeptics in particular? Because when you say call your representatives and your senators, I mean, where I live, they're all in favor of all this. They're not the ones that are standing in the way. Any words of wisdom about how we could be useful in influencing what you might call the opposition?
Well, I think from my experience, and just from my personal experience, what has influenced me, of course, are seeing things at work and actually going into seeing them. And I think programs like the Solar Tour and case studies and just stories being told about how much better is it to have an electric vehicle over a gas vehicle, for example. I'm a 100% proponent of electric vehicles because I have one of each. And the one that I like to drive is the electric one for many, many reasons. They're fun to drive, and they're very efficient, and they're very low cost compared to gasoline. So just try to relay these stories, and trying to, in the process of relaying it, saying there is no sacrifice involved in making that transformation. A lot of people are afraid of change because they're afraid they're going to lose something, and they're going to have to suffer some losses. And I think we're learning that the losses that we're going to suffer is by not making the transformation, because unfortunately, our climate is changing. We're seeing evidence of that every day. Um, we are probably not going to undo that overnight, so we have to adapt to the new situation. So, like the national grid is clearly not ready for these climate changes, but I think the case studies is probably and hands-on experiments like the solar tour are some examples that really do work when they're done well.
It's a great answers. Thank you so much, Dave.
Yeah, that was great. Thank
Thanks for
you.
the question.
I feel bad saying no to all these great questions, but we do have to continue. But very, very last question. Liz Robinson, I know your hand's up, and then we'll move on.
Sorry, this is
You're
not a
good.
question. It's just a response to Sarah's question. And just to add on to what Dave said, the only the people that really matter are the senators, and there are only two of them in each state. And it's really important to figure out what resonates with them. So if it's jobs, if it's factories closing, the House bill, as passed last night, will cause almost 300 factories to close in the United States. It will throw almost 300,000 workers out of their jobs. So if the senators in your state are business focused, if they're, if that's their, there are only two of them, and figuring out what it is that gets them to move is the key now.
Thank you, Liz. Very good. Very well stated.
Oh, and be sure to continue to check the chat. There's a lot of good discussion there. Great. Thank you all so much for asking really great questions to Dave. And Dave, thank you so much for being our keynote speaker for the annual membership meeting this year. That was so motivating and informative, and really appreciate your time. Awesome. All right. Now we will get into the rest of the membership meeting. We will talk about the brief history and impact, which I know Carly mentioned a bit earlier, some ASES membership and community stats and updates. I want to talk about the divisions and the ASES chapters, ASES program highlights. Sarah, our CFO and Zero Emissions Network Director, will talk about some finance updates. And then I'm hoping that we can leave enough time, a good amount of time for question and answers from you all, or just discussions, because we always love chatting with you all and being on Zoom or in person, hopefully in August at Solar 2025. So also, in the meantime, please be sure to ask any questions in the chat, and I will try to get to them towards the end of this presentation. So, some history and impact. Before we dive into all the current ASES updates, we're kind of going back 71 years ago. Again, Carly mentioned this before. ASES was founded in 1954, the very same year Bell Labs patented the first silicone solar cell, which was a breakthrough that sparked the modern solar industry. Driven by a deep commitment to a sustainable future, ASES was established by visionaries who imagined a brighter path forward after the challenges of the post-war decades. So over 70 years later, we are continuing that legacy. ASES is a community of educators, advocates, and overall professionals, empowering individuals, scientists, and makers to accelerate a just transformation to 100% renewable energy. So this work is a torch to pass through generations, and thanks to all of you, that flame continues to grow brighter. We're so grateful. Just some overall membership numbers. We're continuing to grow. We are so grateful to have such a large and diverse ASES solar community. And we have not only just the ASES membership side of things, but we also have, 62,000 subscribers, so many folks on the online community. I'll get into it a bit later, but we have 39 regional chapters, 14 student chapters, 8 technical divisions, and over 58 media partners. And please be sure to follow us on social media for all the latest and greatest updates as well. As you all may know, all ASES members can access low-interest clean energy loans from multiple credit unions that they're committed to providing low-cost financing for clean energy and energy-efficient projects. So we are a field of membership partner with Clean Energy Credit Union, Technology Credit Union, Verity Credit Union, and Credit Human. I love that name. So this means any ASES member is eligible to join these credit unions to use for financing. And so a lot of our ASES members are credit union members as well. Here are all of our ACES chapters. They represent 38 or over 38 states. And so they are incredible organizations. Mainly are their own 501c3 organizations, and they work more on the local level, but still have very similar missions and visions of ACES. We are grateful to be meeting with them and the chapter leaders once a month. And quarterly, we host a policy jam where a speaker comes to those quarterly meetings and discusses a specific theme or policy, and we all have a great discussion on that with the chapter leaders, since it's so important to make sure we're all on the same page and knowing all the updates around the industry. And we have 14 student chapters and growing, so please be sure to check it out on aces.org/chapters if you have a chapter in your state and you can get involved. We have 8 technical divisions. So we have photovoltaic, solar thermal, energy economics, policy, solar buildings, grid modernization and storage, sustainability, resource applications. If you are a student, life, business, or professional member, you may have already received a notification around a petition for us to hopefully be adding a new division to our list. It's the education division, and we just need 20 signatures to move forward with that so the board can vote on it. So please be sure to sign the petition. It's located on the specific technical division forum on the online community. Please feel free to email me at membership@ases.org if you didn't see it or if you would like the link. But yeah, we would really like to expand our divisions, and we think education is a really great opportunity to add to that. Online community. This year, we are celebrating our 4th year anniversary of using the online community. I encourage you to check out the following forums that we have available for you all. So the Everything Solar Forum, even though this is mainly a membership benefit specifically, non-members also have access to the Everything Solar Forum. They can't, like or comment on various discussion threads, but they're able to receive all valuable information that you all are posting. And we also have Ask a Renewable Energy Expert forum. That's basically where someone can ask any question. There's no bad questions. We're all here to support each other, and our technical divisions are on call and have instant notifications for this specific forum, so we can try to get an answer to you right away. And ASES introductions, mainly when you become an ASES member around 24 hours. Once you register, you get a notification to introduce yourself on the online community. So please be sure to check that out. And there's a lot of great new members, so please be sure to welcome them and say hi. And then, as I mentioned, the technical division forums. We have 8 right now, hopefully 9, and that is accessible for student, business, life, and professional members. Moving on, just some fun stats around our membership. These are our top 5 states of which all of our members are located. We do have quite a bit of international folks as well, but these are just our top here. Moving on, Carly also mentioned this earlier, but wanted to just share we are so grateful to have all of our Circle of the Sun members. We have over 25 members, either through the founding sponsors or just a normal, Circle of the Sun donor group member. And so please be sure to check it out if you're interested in joining the Circle of the Sun. And we will also be sure to share the slides and the recording with you all shortly. So that'll have the link to the Circle of the Sun webpage as well. Next. Some ACES program highlights. So I just love seeing all these collages with everyone here. It's always so great to finally meet so many of you all in person. So here are photos from our conference. These are some interns, national solar tours, etc. So just wanted to show you there. Solar 2025. So we were so excited to be hosting in Boulder, Colorado. As many of you know, we are headquartered in Boulder, Colorado, and we'll be hosting Solar 2025 Innovation for Universal Renewable Energy Access on August 4th through 6th. So check out all the fun stats. As Carly mentioned again, the early bird registration has been extended, and the final chance to save 25% is by June 6th. So please be sure to check out ases.org/conference, and we hope that you can register. Also, many of you are members, and please be sure you can receive up to 15 to 70% discount depending on membership type. So, for example, if you're a student, you get 70% off. If you're a life member, you get half 50% off of your conference pass. So again, please be sure to email me at membership@ases.org if you are a member and want your specific discount code. We are so excited to see such a great turnout for in-person attendees. I will note this is the first time since COVID that we are not hosting a virtual side of things. So we're really excited to be back fully and 100% in person in Boulder, Colorado. So we definitely hope to see you all there. Just wanted to share some really great keynote speakers that we have for August. The keynote speakers list can also be found on aces.org/conference. I know one speaker at least is on this call, Cynthia Finley. She's also one of our incredible board members. So thank you so much for your participation. Moving on, we're thrilled to recognize an incredible group of leaders who are driving meaningful change in the renewable energy industry. So we want to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude to all of our award winners and fellow inductees. These folks represent the heart of the ASES movement. I consider them bold, resilient, and dedicated to making an impact. So check out all of the award and fellow winners at aces.org/awards. And you are welcome to come and celebrate with us on August 5th. So that's Tuesday. Starting at 5 p.m., we'll have the fellows reception. So from 5 to 6, that'll be the fellows reception where anyone's welcome to join, and we'll be inducting the 3 new 2025 fellows. And then from 6 to 9 is the awards banquet. Session Spotlight. We are doing some things differently this year. We're really excited to be hosting the first ever system symposium on large-scale renewable energy integration into electricity grids. Dave Renee will kindly be moderating this session. So we have a really great group. We have Deborah Liu, Executive Director of Energy Systems Integration Group, Dr. Ben Krapowski, Power Systems Engineering Center Director at NREL, Richard Perez, he's Senior Faculty Emeritus at the University of Albany, State University of New York, and Laurie Bird, Director of World Resources Institute. So this symposium will address critical issues related to large penetrations of renewable electricity, such as grid reliability, storage, policy, and regulatory frameworks, along with community energy priorities. The intention is for attendees to gain actionable guidance to advance renewable energy adoption in the electricity system. And the session will include with a collaborative Q&A to synthesize takeaways for renewable energy stakeholders. And yeah, we're really excited to really focus on the system symposium this time around. And that will take place on Wednesday, August 6th from 4 to 5:15. Another thing we're doing differently this year, or not different, just first ever, is going to be our career fair. So we think, given with the uncertainty in times and a lot of unfortunate layoffs taking place, we think now more than ever is so important to be hosting a career fair. So that'll take place during Solar 2025 on Tuesday, August 5th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the University of Colorado Boulder. It's shaping out to be such a great opportunity to meet sharp candidates looking to grow their careers in solar and renewables. And we have reduced the prices for employee registration fees. So for nonprofit and government folks, it's completely free to have a table. And then we just ask for for-profit tables, it's just $100. So, whether or not you're hiring or you're opening up a fellowship or internships, we would highly encourage you to join as a vendor or have a table, and it'll be completely free for anyone that wants to join. So in addition to, conference attendees, we'll make it open to the public because we do not want to gatekeep anything with the solar industry. We want everyone to be involved. So yeah, please be sure to check it out on ases.org/conference. And we're really excited about the first ever ASES Career Fair. This is just a fun little pie chart of typically all of the attendees that join us for the conference. And so, as you can see, we have a significant amount of independent professionals. We got 34%, and then lots of young professionals and students, and in academia as well. As well as nonprofits. So this is kind of an on average in the last couple of years, what our attendees have looked like based off of industry. Up next, National Solar Tour. We are so excited to be hosting the National Solar Tour. This is our 30th anniversary, and our showcase weekend will take place on October 3rd through 5th, 2025. This is the largest annual grassroots solar event. It includes, PV, passive solar, wind, electric vehicles, sustainable living, and energy first strategies. Tours are hosted by homeowners, businesses, schools, religious institutions, organizations, and who essentially post their tour on the National Solar Tour map, and that can be either in person or virtual. And so we are able to provide a completely free platform and support, promote, and share all these resources for tour organizers to have a successful tour. Although the main showcase weekend is October 3rd through 5th this year, anyone is welcome to host a tour anytime throughout the year and still be on the map. And yeah, we're so excited to have it the 30th anniversary. We're trying to make a really big splash. We always aim for all 50 states to be represented, and we have been able to do that these last few years. So please be sure to sign up. We always get around thousands of people to attend, both in person and virtually. And here's some fun photos from previous tours and our really busy map, as you can see on the top left corner. Just sharing some impact over the last 30 years, the National Solar Tour has attracted more than 200,000 participants and showcased over 20,000 tours nationwide, including schools, businesses, churches, etc., and so much more. In a recent survey, surveys indicate that 76% of attendees are more likely to invest in solar or energy efficient technologies after participating in the tour. And so this really just helps with our, supports our mission of equitable solar adoption and universal sustainable living. We want to be there to support everyone. We're not trying to sell anything specific other than for you all to adopt solar. Yeah, we are, this has been a very impactful program, and we've just noticed that people want to go solar if they hear it from their neighbors rather than from a salesperson. And so this program feels like it's done an incredible job of really getting us there. So lots of solar adoption throughout the last 30 years and more. I mentioned this briefly, but we have various types of tours that anyone can host. And so, you don't have to have solar to host a tour. It can be any sort of sustainability feature. And there's two categories that one can organize. It's either a single tour site. So sites can include like just your home or your nonprofit, your school, etc. And then we also have a local tour, which is a collection of these individual tours. So we have a lot of great chapters that host, like, for example, the Minnesota Renewable Energy Society hosts an incredible 40 plus local tour of 40 plus homes that participate. We have the Illinois Solar Energy Society that I want to say it's over 100 plus tours each year that they showcase in person and virtually. And yeah, you can get your neighborhood to get involved. You can get just your town. You can for sure share this with your municipality to help spread the word. And we're also, of course, here to always support you all. We are so excited to have this year be the second year on the National Solar Tour app. We launched it right before the showcase weekend last year. And so be sure to download the National Solar Tour app on your Apple Store or Google Play Store, depending on if you have an iPhone or an Android. And these are some screenshots of what you can see and expect on this app. we want it to be as accessible as possible, so that's why we decided to create an app for it. Here are some specific features of the app. You are welcome to find local and national tours with just a tap. You can visit many sites. You can RSVP, and then it'll take you directly, it'll connect with your mapping app. And so it will, once you RSVP, it'll take you to wherever you want to go, as long as it's in driving distance. And you can help plan for a solar tour with a personalized itinerary and access to how-tos and guides, resources, etc. And yeah, please be sure to participate, whether as a tour host or a attendee. You're welcome to sign up here, the QR code, or it's just nationalsolartour.org. But feel free to email solartour@ases.org. That's me, if you have any questions. But we really hope you participate. Solar Today. Last but certainly not least of one of our major programs is Solar Today. It's our flagship magazine that's been informing and inspiring our community since 1987. We continue to send out 4 issues each year, and both in print and digital. It's written by experts from across our professional network. We have young professionals, students, solar advocates, etc. It delivers data-driven, fiercely enthusiastic reporting on the solar industry and helps our readers understand and navigate the energy transition, with a special focus on solar power in the United States. So we're very proud to cover high impact issues. So we have a theme each quarter, from new technologies and policies to climate justice and energy or equitable energy access. And our goal is to offer unfiltered, pragmatic insight that helps move the transition forward. This photo in particular is the latest issue of the magazine, the spring 2025 issue. And so in our next slide, I wanted to highlight that. It's all about challenges and opportunities for solar integration. And reading this issue, you can explore solar energy, how solar energy can drive grid resilience, decentralization, and energy independence in the face of aging infrastructure and growing demand. In recent years, energy independence has taken center stage in policy debates and everyday decisions made by consumers, businesses, and world leaders. The prevailing need is to address both traditional and emerging risks in an era of geopolitical tensions, technological advancements, and climate change. So please be sure to check out the articles in the magazine. And if you are not subscribed, you should be. You can just join at ases.org/join, and you can receive either the digital or the printed version. And also, we do have a handful of public articles just on ases.org/solar today. So we able to share to the public just around 6 articles each issue. If you're interested in being involved and pitch an article for Solar Today, you're welcome to do that. We invite submissions for the fall issue, and it'll be centered around the theme circular economy. The pitch proposals are due by July 1st. So to submit, please be sure to send a 2-paragraph summary and a short bio to editor@ases.org. This is a great opportunity to contribute to a leading publication in the solar energy community and share expertise to a wide audience. So yeah, would love to see some of your pitches. I know Carly is our executive director and also the chief editor-in-chief of Solar Today. So editor@ases.org, you should email. Lastly, be sure to get involved. Anyone is welcome to, depending on the criteria. We offer quite a handful of ASES scholarships. And so our Don Aitken Memorial Scholarship is due September 16th. And so we really encourage ASES student members and active student chapter members or ASES interns to submit an application. We are really honored to have this memorial scholarship. Dr. Donald Aitken twice served as the president of the American Solar Energy Society and was vice president of the International Solar Energy Society. He received many awards for his lifetime in solar energy for his building designs that emphasize the use of natural daylighting and passive solar. We also have the John and Barbara Yellett Award, which we just was able to nominate. We have 2 winners this year. We're really excited to celebrate them at Solar 2025. We just also accepted Jedi scholarships. That was for free conference passes and networking opportunities at Solar 2025, including free accommodations in Boulder. So we were able to provide free hotel rooms for them. And then the Jean Clark Memorial Scholarship is a recent scholarship for graduate students, and that's $1,000. So yeah, please be sure to check out aces.org/scholarships if you are interested in applying. That is all I have for now. I will now pass it along to Sarah Towns. She is the CFO at ASES and also Zero Emissions Network Director. Thank you so much, Sarah. I'll hand it off to you.
Thanks, Ella. Thank you, Carly, and thank you, Dave, and everybody. This is my favorite membership meeting I've ever been to so far. I think this has been wonderful today. I will breeze through financials since I know it's not the most fun part of our meeting so that we can get to the fun part, which is Q&A. Would you advance the slides for me, Ella, since you have thank you. Was that the second slide? Okay, yeah, 2024. So just a quick breeze through the programs, how we're doing financially with each of the programs. Conference was in the black, which was nice to see. We have reduced expenses a little bit for 2025 conference so that we can hope to nudge that revenue number up just a little bit to help pay the costs of the organization overall. Solar today, we had some turnover in sales last year, so those revenues were down a little bit, but they have been climbing back up nicely for 2025, which you'll see on the next slide. Solar Tour, we didn't get one grant last year that we had hoped for, but we have reapplied for it, and we have a very good relationship with these folks, and we are hoping for that same grant to come back in 2025. But we're always looking for grant and sponsorship opportunities for the tour because we think it is a fantastic program and it's not always the easiest one to pay for. So ideas are always welcome there. The Zen program, obviously bouncing around wildly in this federal up and down. Project Chioshpae, that we did get our first federal grant. We were implementing that successfully and having a great time with it, but it was terminated in March. So you see revenue there for last year, but in 2025 that has been interrupted. And we did invest time. That this money that you see here is almost all time and a little bit of travel expenses into Solar for All initiatives, which we're still working on, and we'll talk about more on the next slide. But that's the Zen program. Membership is doing great. The credit unions, we have members pouring in from the credit unions, and that's a strong source of revenue for us. And just would love to be able to engage those members more. But we appreciate the revenue from the credit unions. Chapters, coming right along. It's, sort of budgeted to be a net negative program for us, but the success in our mission implementation from chapters is huge. So we don't mind that is a net negative program. Maybe someday there'll be some, sponsorship money just for the chapters or donations just for the chapters, but so far that hasn't happened, but we still greatly value them. Divisions has been getting grant support, both from Sugar Winger and from Brock, and that is wonderful. Nice to see divisions in the black. Back to ASES's roots. Management in general, that's just all the things that don't easily fit into a program category. And we're moving our expenses more and more out of management in general and putting them into the programs because it looks better for funders to understand, and it's more accurate because we are a very lean organization and almost everything that we do is directed at our programs. So it's appropriate that those expenses are slowly moving out of M&G and into the programs where they belong. But we tend to be very beautifully on our numbers in terms of budget versus actuals with our expenses. We're not an organization that tends to overspend, so we can be proud of that and grateful for Carly's excellent leadership in that department. Fundraising did great last year. Super grateful for all of our wonderful donors. Sugar Wenger was a large donation towards the end of the year that gave us a nice bump. Board donations, member donations, conference donations, it all adds up. And we had great fundraising success last year. Scholarships, continuing, the donations continue to come in for these funds. And it's very satisfying for us to be able to give a hand to up and coming renewable energy professionals. So you'll see that we had almost $35,000 in the black last year. Ella, next slide, please. This is a little metrics dashboard that I've been using lately with their little traffic lights. So we're here now in the 2025 numbers, January through mid-May. For operational savings, I give us a yellow light because 2.3 months is a little leaner than I would like as a finance person. We'd really like to bump that number up to more like 6 months of operational savings. So at $50,000, that's $300,000, which is not a huge amount of money to raise. And if we could just get a nice nugget of $300,000 saved, then I think we would feel really comfortable moving forward with more long-term savings planning. So that's my goal for us as CFO. But it is nice to have that savings. That wasn't always the case, so we can be proud of the savings that we do have. The P&L, we are, as of mid-May, in the black for the year, which is great. We're a little bit short of our budget versus actual targets, but the momentum is picking up for conference income and the credit union memberships. That's the wrong slide. I had updated that. So anyway, that's supposed to say credit union, not credit human. I might have made a mistake and not updated that. But anyway, that P&L looks good for the year. I would give it a green if we were on our budget targets, but we're moving towards them, so I gave it a yellow. Scholarship funds, green light there. Those are doing great. Next slide, please. In just quick conclusion, quick breeze through the programs. Conference income is picking up and feeling really good about the conference, and it's a little bit lower expenses due to not live streaming this year, which was great to have, but pretty expensive. So we're not doing it this year. Solar Today ad sales, as I mentioned, are picking up. Tom Freeman's doing a great job. Carly's doing a great job running the sales team. The tour, the All Points North Foundation will be announcing grantees this summer, so we're looking forward to that. Hopeful for our tour to be supported. Zen, we are working with the Coalition for Green Capital on a sub-award contract that we hope will be signed by the end of June. And we're super, super excited about that and hoping that the programs can continue and at least continue long enough that we can get them started and continue with or without federal funding would be the dream. Membership is doing great especially with the credit union members. And again, the challenge there is just, once we bring them in the door, how can we interest them to engage in our work with us and stick around? Divisions, mentioned that. Brock Grant, half conference and half divisions. Wonderful to see the divisions of ASES doing so well. Fundraising, as I said before, we would love to see ASES have 6 months of operational savings, and then funding that comes in on top of that, we can more comfortably invest in long-term savings plans, which is where we'd like to be. So we're doing fine, and thanks everybody so much for listening to the finance presentation. I'll let Ella take it back over, and as we get into the Q&A, if anybody has any specific finance questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, we have exactly 10 minutes. Please, you're welcome to add any questions in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, you can speak out loud. We already got some questions coming in. So for Sarah, Mark Payton asks, what is ACES's exposure to dependence on federal funding?
Well, we were doing fine before the federal funds, and we expect to be doing fine after the federal funds. We had a $500,000 grant. They took it away, and we're still moving directly forward. We're about to step into a significant commitment with the sub award, but if they take it away, we will absolutely be ready to pivot. So, unfortunately, that's not unfortunate. Fortunately, ASIS is, in my opinion, going to be just fine, even with the federal funding so turbulent. And the only unfortunate part about it is just that we have these incredible opportunities, and we really want to see them through. And the federal funding provides an incredible springboard, so we want it to continue. But we will continue our work with or without it.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Um,
I didn't allow us, I'm sorry, just the best answer is I didn't allow us to count on it because we knew it could go away. And we're going to continue that policy. We're not going to allow it to endanger ASIS's finances. Sorry, Ella, go ahead.
oh no, thank you. John Richter asked, the size and growth of ACES membership is impressive. What is the primary things that bring in and retain members? So we have quite a few credit unions that we work with, as I mentioned in that logo page. So we have 5 credit unions that we work with and partner with. So we get a lot of members through them. And we have various campaigns to ask members to renew. So that's through email and also through like physical mail. So we send 2 friendly renewal reminders in the mail monthly to just twice total. So yeah, we think that is working out in that regard. And yeah, I would say just credit unions and our campaigns are the main reasons of why we continue to grow.
Adding on to that,
Yeah.
we offer several benefits to the ASES membership. One of the more popular ones is access to the online community platform, as well as access to Solar Today magazine. We also offer access to the technical divisions for our professional, business, life, and student members. So those types of resources and as well as discounts to the conference networking opportunities there help to grow and retain our membership.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Um, Elaine asked what percentage of ACES members are credit union members and what percentage are of CU members renew? So we know about 80% of ACES members are credit union members, and the percentage of credit union members that renew, it definitely depends, but last time we checked was around 20% or so. So yeah, we continuously get a lot of credit union members each month. And we work to definitely get them to renew and join ACES for longer than just a year. Some more questions. Outside of the conference, what opportunities are there to help ACES with time and talent? Carly, do you want to answer that?
Sure. Well, you can host a home or business on the National Solar Tour. That's some great grassroots advocacy for your community and neighborhood to share your solar story or sustainable story with your neighbors. We do have volunteer opportunities with all of our events, the conference, the tour, Solar Today. We also would love your involvement on ACES committees. We have committees for all of our programs, as well as governance committees and finance committees. So there are many opportunities to volunteer there as well. Also participating in the online community, we want this to be an ongoing discussion and information sharing, resource sharing. So as far as, your talent, we're looking for your technical expertise and looking for your connections and information to share with our membership. So please participate in our technical divisions and the online community to share your skills and talent. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Looks like we got a question for Dave Renee. Timothy McBride asks, what is your ideas about the electricity prospects needed to power AI, EVs, Bitcoins, etc., overtaxing existing grids? How can solar grids emerge to save the day?
Well, I think the answer to that is the AI is probably the nearest term crisis we're facing in terms of electrical power shortages in this country. And if you want to follow what Bloomberg New Energy Finance is suggesting, they're thinking that the fossil industry is probably going to benefit from that more than the solar industry is. although it's not clear exactly why, because the fossil industry is actually running into some supply chain issues in terms of installing new gas-fired power plants, for example. There are significant delays in getting new orders fulfilled. So, but I think in the longer term, the growth of the electrical grid is going to be best managed by solar. Um, it could be managed by solar even with the AIs. The problem they're running into is again the congestion on the grid right now and the inability to get projects, solar projects, and for that matter, other projects into the pipeline. But I'm not saying I support this idea, but I do think that in the short term, we're going to see maybe slowing down, shutting down power co-pilot plants, or maybe, if you've heard, restarting nuclear plants or not shutting them down as soon as we had thought because of AI. That's going to be the main source for AI. But in the long term, solar is going to beat out everybody in price, and that's going to be the case for years to come.
Thank you so much, Dave.
And while I have the floor, I just want to give a big shout out to Carly and Ella and Sarah for the great job you did putting on this meeting and for inviting me to be a speaker. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for all you do. And also special shout out to Ben Luce, the chair of the board, and all the great things the board is doing to help ASES move forward. You're all doing great work. And just my personal thanks to being invited to be here today.
That means so much. Thank you so much, Dave. We're so grateful to have you as part of our community. Well, we got 2 more minutes. Does anyone have any last questions before we drop? We really appreciate everyone's participation on this call.
I have one comment, Ella.
Yeah.
I think given the challenges, the headwinds that we're facing now, there has never been a more important time for ASUS and the work that we're doing in this network. I think there was a feeling a few years ago that I think a lot just in the general public that, hey, solar's doing great. It's just another thing now and doesn't need all that much help. But I think what we're seeing is because it's been so successful, we're seeing a real backlash now. It's kind of a last gasp attempt by the fossil fuel industry to really push it back. And I think if we can really hold our networks together and really engage with the public and keep the fire burning, we can keep things going. And we may suffer some big losses in employment over the next couple of years. The key thing is to keep the public interest there and to keep what we can going. And maybe there's some creative stuff that people can come up with to help keep sales going and help in installations going and help keeping systems penciling, especially when it comes to things like harder to pencil things like batteries as well.
Thank you so much, Ben. Carly, any last words? I just saw that at the top of the hour.
Yeah, thank you so much all for joining us. Our strength really lies in our membership. So we appreciate your support and everything that you do for ASES. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for your time. We will follow up with the slides and recording shortly. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye, everyone.